What's the most morally disgusting thing you've ever seen someone do? Story 1. The cousin and the complicit family. Some families protect their darkest secrets at the cost of their most innocent members. My cousin was arrested and charged with child pornography and child sexual assault against his own toddler. He pled guilty. Life sentence. And you would think that would be the end of it. It wasn't. Almost that entire side of the family took his side. They moaned about how unfair it was, how the prosecutor was too harsh, how the mountains of evidence found on his phone and laptop were either photoshopped or planted on multiple devices. The mothers of his children, and he had 7 or 8 of them, were willing to allow the family to remain in the children's lives, under one condition: no contact with him, no visits, no phone calls, nothing. They broke that agreement almost immediately. So the mothers cut them off entirely, and of course, the family cast themselves as the real victims, devastated that they couldn't see their grandchildren, the children that their son had destroyed. But here's what makes it even sicker. This wasn't new behavior. When he was a teenager, he had molested nearly every younger cousin in the family. And the adults knew. They called it kids playing doctor. They did absolutely nothing. I was 13, he was 15. I was his oldest victim. The youngest I know of was 8 years younger than him. At some point, all the cousins quietly refused to visit that aunt and uncle's house anymore. None of us ever said why out loud. We didn't have to. We all knew. I remember the day I finally looked him in the eye and told him that if he ever touched me again, I would throat punch him, even if it meant I'd be grounded for life. He was a talented liar. I knew he could spin it so that I looked like the aggressor. I told him I didn't care. He was 29 or 30 years old when he was finally arrested. By then, it was far too late for so many. Some of us cousins have since spoken to each other as adults. We've made a pact. If he ever gets a parole hearing, every single one of us will show up to make sure he doesn't walk out. And the rest of that family, they'll be right there beside him, still making excuses. Story 2, the lawn chair on a private island. Not every story of moral bankruptcy ends in tragedy. Sometimes it ends in a lawn chair on a private island, waiting for a secret lover who does not exist. My aunt, by marriage, was the kind of person who could turn any situation into a conflict. She had married into a large family with a long-standing tradition. The bay, the beach, the island, all of it was shared. Everyone was welcome. That was the way it had always been. She changed that. Immediately. Fences went up. Security cameras followed. She called the police on her own in-laws during a wedding because a guest's car tire was slightly over her property line. Not after asking them to move it, just straight to the police. Then, she went on Facebook to describe the county sheriff personally arriving to console her, and then taking her on a late-night stargazing date. The sheriff had not been there. There was no date. Her in-laws were not even drinking. She also faked her son's cancer on social media. Not for donation, just for the attention. Let that settle in for a moment. Then came the island. The mere possibility of trespassers was enough to send her spiraling. She began boating out there at dawn every single day and sitting in a lawn chair until dusk, just watching, making sure no one came. One uncle, knowing she was home, would wait until he spotted any boat heading in that direction and shout across the bay, "Have fun at the island!" And she would sprint out of the house, jump in her fishing boat, and zoom out there every single time. But it was her Facebook posts that truly revealed how far things had gone. She began writing about a secret lover on the island, a mysterious man she believed was leaving her love notes. She was writing the letters herself, and then finding them, and believing they were from him. Her husband found out. The argument happened in the middle of the bay, where sound travels perfectly in every direction, so the entire family heard every word. He wanted her to get help. She refused. They divorced shortly after. The divorce was celebrated, quietly, warmly, and by absolutely everyone. Story 3, the brother-in-law's control. Some people don't just burn bridges, They burn everything around them and then move in with whoever's left standing. It started during COVID. My brother-in-law was caught strangling his teenage son over a math problem. My disabled father-in-law stepped in to stop it. He grabbed his walker and hurled it at the wall, destroying it, then shoved my father-in-law to the ground. My mother-in-law called the police. He was arrested. From jail, he called my husband asking for bail money. He apologized. My husband said no. So he called every other family member he could reach and told them that my husband had abused him as a child, fabricated entirely, and that was the reason he needed help now. No one believed him. No one bailed him out, except his girlfriend, a single mother, who put up the money. He fled the state immediately after his release. Years passed. Then, one morning, there was a knock at our door. I checked the camera. It was him. Before I could process what was happening, I heard him say, "Dad is dead." I closed the door. My husband was devastated. We called my mother-in-law to confirm, and yes, his father had died, and she had sent him to deliver the news in person, not out of kindness, out of strategy. One more attempt to force a reunion. After the funeral, he moved my mother-in-law out of state, away from her support network, away from everyone who might check on her. Within 2 weeks of arriving, she was placed on a temporary psychiatric hold. He changed all her bank passwords, changed the locks on the house they were renting with her money. My husband is now only permitted to speak to his mother if his brother is present in the room, listening to every word. He has total control of her, and she has no one left nearby to help her. My brother-in-law is, without question, the most dangerous kind of person, the kind who always looks like the victim. Story 4. The sister I raised. Sometimes the most disgusting thing a person can do is weaponize the very system that's supposed to protect children. When I was 9 years old, my baby sister became my responsibility. My mother was drunk, depressed, and absent, so the overnight feedings, the school runs, the care, all of it fell to me. By the time I was 14, I had obtained custodial guardianship just so I could legally enroll her in school, because my mother wouldn't. I moved out at 16 and tried to take my sister with me. My mother refused, not out of love, but because losing my sister meant losing the child support check. So I fought. For 5 years, I fought the system, the courts, and my mother, until at 21, the government finally sided with me. My mother did not take it well. In a final act of desperation, she called Child Protective Services and told them that I was living with a strange man who had an unnatural interest in my 13-year-old sister. That man was my husband. Someone who had known and lovingly helped care for my sister since she was 9 years old. What followed was an audit, interviews, an exhaustive investigation of our entire home life. My husband had to enter therapy to process being accused of something so vile. My sister had to enter therapy to process our mother, and then they had to go to therapy together to repair the damage those accusations had done to the bond between them. A bond my mother had tried to destroy with a single phone call. It didn't work. My sister grew up in our home. She graduated high school with full scholarships. She has her own apartment now, her own life, her own cat, who she fully expects us to refer to as our grandcat. She comes home several times a month and quietly empties our pantry. She calls me when she needs her mom. Every Mother's Day, she leaves flowers and an apology I beg her every year to stop giving. My mother is out there somewhere, far from us, and every single one of us is better for it. Story 5, The Portal to Hell. I thought I knew what bad parenting looked like. Then I went to work in a residential behavioral health facility for youth, and I realized I had barely scratched the surface. I'd had my own difficult childhood. My mother was severely abusive and narcissistic. When I finally reached my breaking point at 17 and went to a mandated reporter for help, she responded by sending me an email, formally terminating her position as my parent. She gave me 2 days to collect my things. Then, she told the entire family I'd run away because I was addicted to drugs, ensuring that every door that might have been open to me slammed shut. I had never touched a substance in my life, but working in that facility showed me suffering I could never have imagined on my own. I worked one-on-one 4 days a week for over a year with a girl who had been sexually abused by both her grandfather and her father. She had also witnessed her father murder a man and dismember him. The day before her 12th birthday, her mother dropped her off at the facility and told the staff that her daughter's behaviors, the obvious result of years of unspeakable trauma, were proof that she was a portal to hell through which demons were coming through. Her mother never called, never visited. The girl aged out of the facility 7 years later and was transferred to an adult unit. Her father, serving a life sentence, has a prison pen pal profile online. He describes himself as a devoted father to daughters who has found Jesus. I have no words. Another girl had been born with a correctable clubfoot. A simple surgery could have fixed it. Instead, her mother sold her for drugs for the first time when she was 3 years old. The foot was never corrected. And then there was a boy with autism, a condition that with proper therapy and support, he could have learned to navigate. Instead, his mother locked him in a room for days at a time, with nothing but a television playing Scooby-Doo on repeat, while she disappeared on benders. He was eventually removed and placed with his grandmother, who loved him deeply but could no longer manage his needs safely as he grew older. Once a month, we were required to facilitate a phone call between him and his mother. He was nonverbal. He would try to move away from the phone every time. We'd follow him around the room with it on speaker while she talked at length about her own hardships and made promises she never kept. But when his grandmother called, he would sit perfectly still and he would vocalize happily. Some people should never have been parents, and the children who survive them are the bravest people I've ever known. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for listening. These stories are heavy, but the people who lived them and survived them deserve to be heard. Don't forget to look at the pinned comment, and I'll see you in the next one.